What's up, guys? My name is Brian Davila, and today I'm going to teach you from beginning to end how to do your first flip or wholesale. I'm going to literally give you everything you need. So watch the entire video, and then if you end up doing a deal, let me know in the comments or send me a DM on IG. We're going to get straight to the training. Number one, the very first step you're going to need to figure out is, do you have an LLC for real estate or not? It's a simple question. Do you have a LLC for real estate or not? If it's no, then yes, you need one, right? That's like the number one question I always get. Do you need an LLC? Yes, get an LLC. You're starting a business. You're going to have expenses. You need an LLC. Another reason you need an LLC is for step two, because if you're flipping a house and you get a hard money loan, the hard money lender is going to need you to have an LLC. So if you don't have an LLC, most hard money lenders are not going to give you a loan. So number one step, get an LLC. Number two step, get pre-approved with a hard money lender if you're going to flip a house. And I'm going to give you two hard money lenders you can work with. Kiavi, that's K-I-A-V-I, or Anchor Loans. Both of those companies give hard money loans. I'll give you a third one. That's going to be Civic Loans. All three of those companies do hard money loans almost across the country. If for some reason they don't do them in your market, what you could do is just Google hard money loans, Oklahoma, or wherever you live, and that's how you can find a hard money lender. When you're working with a hard money lender, three things you need to figure out. Number one, how much money are they going to ask you to put down, right? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it 50%? What's their typical down payment, right? How many points are they going to charge you? So 1 point is 1%. So on a $100,000 house, 1 point is $1,000. So they charge that up front when you close your loan. For new investors, you're typically going to pay between 2 to 4 points. Experienced investors like myself will pay 1 point, sometimes no points. And then the last thing you need to know with the hard money lender is interest. So they're going to charge you anywhere between 7 and sometimes I've seen 13% interest annually. So on a $100,000 loan, 13% annually is $13,000. Then you divide that by 12, and that's how you figure out what your monthly payment is going to be. Sometimes you can get those payments pushed out until the flip ends, but most of the time you have to pay that monthly. So down payment, how many points, and then interest, right? Other things you might want to know that aren't ultra important, but you need to know is how fast can they close their first loan. So if this is your very first time doing a deal with them or your first flip ever, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So anticipate 21 to 30 days if it's your first deal. Once they get used to you and they've worked with you before, it could take 14 days. But if you do the process in which I'm telling you to do, get pre-approved before you even find a deal, that helps the process go way faster than finding a deal and then trying to get a loan. So step one, get an LLC. Step two, get pre-approved. Step three is going to be pick a market. One of the biggest things I've seen new investors struggle with is picking one market, right? They'll say, Brian, I live in Las Vegas, but I heard you could flip houses in Savannah, Georgia for cheap. Should I go there or should I go to Ohio? I have a friend that does real estate. Should I go there and do real estate or should I do it in my backyard? Simple answer, do real estate in your backyard. I don't care if you live in Oklahoma, Oakland, Las Vegas, Cincinnati, anywhere in the country. Do real estate in your backyard. Keep it simple. Why do you want to do real estate in your backyard? Number one, because you could go to the properties faster, right? If you could go look at a property right now or when you get off of work, that's very important and that's worth a lot. So do real estate in your backyard. If you're just starting off, if you want to do your first flip or wholesale, I don't care where you live, no excuses, straight to the point, do real estate in your backyard. Next step you need to figure out is, are you going to flip or are you going to wholesale? A lot of the times people get stuck in this analysis paralysis where they're like, man, I want to start making money in real estate. I don't know if I should flip, wholesale, buy rentals, or do Airbnb. Pick one strategy. But in this video, we're going to assume that you're going to flip a house, right? So if you're going to flip a house, you're going to say, okay, I'm flipping a house. I'm going to do it in my backyard. I have an LLC. Now, how much money do you need? Before you go out and make offers like a big silly guy, make sure you know how much money you need. And how would you know that? Because of step 2. The lender is going to tell you how much down payment are you going to need. And then rehab costs right now in most markets is about $35 to $45 a square foot. That's being very conservative. So times $35 per square foot for a house, unless it's a super heavy rehab, then it's going to be more. But I'm just giving you a quick way to estimate. You're still going to want to get construction costs figured out with a contractor. But back to the cost. So down payment, holding costs, rehab costs. Those are the 3 costs that you have when you're flipping a house, right? So start analyzing how much money are you going to need. So we'll do a hypothetical example for you. So let's say you're looking at a house in Las Vegas, right? The average house in Las Vegas is about $400,000, right? Let's say your lender is telling you you're going to need 20% down. All right, that's $80K. Right there, you know you need $80K, right? So before you go out making offers and all this stuff, you know you need $80K. You know rehab is going to be, let's just say, $40K. And then holding costs is probably going to be about $2K a month. So let's say 6 months, that's $12K. So you add 80 plus 40, that's $120 plus another 12. So that's about $135,000 you need to flip a house in Las Vegas, right? So if you know that in your head going into it, rather you need the money, or you're going to have to raise $135,000 in order to flip your first house. The good thing is if you're working with a hard money lender to flip a house, the lender is going to pay you back your rehab costs whenever it's done. So let's just say a rehab costs you 50 grand. You pay your contractor 50 grand after it's all done. The house is all set. Then your hard money lender will send out an inspector, make sure the 50 grand worth of work is done, and then they will send you back your rehab costs before the property even resells. So that also will take a lot of pressure off if you're tight on money, but that's something that most people don't understand. That's pretty much the funding portion, understanding how much money you need before you even start looking, right? And that process should really take less than an hour. Once you go on Zillow and Redfin and start looking at houses, you're going to see what's the average price and then calculate 10 to 20% down, budget, let's say 50K for a full rehab, and then let's say 10 to 15K for holding costs. So that's a rough estimate. Obviously, these things can fluctuate. If you're buying a $100,000 house or you're buying a $2 million house, obviously these numbers are going to fluctuate, but start getting an idea of how much money it's going to take. All right. And then a lot of people are going to say, well, Brian, I don't have the money. How am I going to raise it? Well, I'm going to teach you. So first, you need to understand the contracts that you're going to use to flip a house. And actually what I'm going to do, everything that I'm telling you guys you need in this video, in the description of this video, there's a link. If you click on it, put your information in, I will send you whatever you need. So that way you have all the tools to flip your first house. I don't care if it's the calculator, the contract, whatever it is, just put your information in the description of this video and I'll send it to you. But 2 contracts you're going to need. Number 1 is a JV agreement. JV means joint venture. So when you raise capital from someone, so let's say I'm raising capital from my content manager. Her name is Brianna. We'll post a picture of her here so you guys can see her. So let's say you're raising capital from Brianna. You and Brianna need to sign something saying Brianna is lending Brian $100,000. Brian is going to pay back Brianna plus interest or plus a profit split of XYZ and list out all the terms that you guys negotiate when you're raising money. So you need a JV agreement and then you need a deed of trust. So a deed of trust is pretty much something that is saying Brianna lent Brian $100,000 for this property. It's going to be recorded against the property as a lien. So that way, if for some reason Brian, the investor, doesn't want to pay Brianna back, the investor is secured by a deed of trust that's recorded against the property. All right. So those are the two documents that you need when you're raising private money from lenders. Another thing that you need to understand when you're raising private money is most of the time your lenders are going to come from your inner circle. And you might be thinking, but Brian, I don't know anyone. You do, right? There's people all around you that have $50, $100, $150,000. You need to go out and say, hey, Mr. Friend, I'm going to start flipping houses, and I was thinking about you, and I wanted to see if you wanted to be involved with me to flip houses so you can make some extra money and I can make some extra money. Yay or nay? If they say yay, perfect. Okay, well, there's two documents that you're going to have to fill out once I get a property, a JV agreement, and then a secured deed of trust. And that's going to protect you and to make sure that I pay you back, and to make sure, God forbid, something happens to me, you're protected because your money is protected by this lien that's going to be on the property. So that's going to be very important when you're raising money. If you could explain that to someone, they're going to be a lot more comfortable to lend you money. All right. So that's the money part. So the next step is going to be picking a marketing strategy. This is another part that a lot of people struggle with. It's going to be probably the longest section of this video because it's kind of complex, but there's two main buckets when you're trying to find your first flip. There's the direct to seller, and then there's going to be referrals, right? So let's go over referrals first, because referrals are usually free or they cost less. So referrals are going to be working with wholesalers. So wholesalers are people who go out, market, get deals under contract, and then assign them to you for a fee. If you never flipped a house before, a lot of first-time flippers don't want to pay a wholesale fee because they're greedy and they're dumb. You should be willing to pay a wholesale fee if you make money on the deal, period. I don't care if the wholesale fee is $100,000, but if you're going to make whatever you want to make, it doesn't matter. If you make $30K and they made $100, that's okay. Don't let that stop you from getting your first deal. If you pay the wholesaler $2K and you're going to make $50K, that's okay. Don't let the amount that a wholesaler is making stop you from doing a deal. That's one of the dumbest mistakes that I see new flippers make, and it actually gets on my nerves, because then you don't, to me, that shows that you don't have a mindset of abundance. You have a mindset of scarcity. You don't want people to make money. You only want to make money. So number one, when you're working with wholesalers, don't worry about what they're making. Number two, understand what type of wholesaler are you working with. Are you working with a big wholesale company like Fair Trade, New Western, Journey, or some of these big wholesale companies that have thousands and thousands of buyers? Or are you working with a beginner wholesaler that doesn't have a lot of buyers and you built a relationship with them, so they just want to do a deal with you, right? It's better to work with the second one than the first one, right? I've seen a lot of people work with the big wholesalers, and what happens is, unfortunately, if you're the highest bid and you're bidding up against 100 other legit investors and you're the highest, you may not make money, right? You could still make money, but I prefer to work with smaller wholesalers than bigger wholesalers. So that's the first place you can find referrals. Second place you could find referrals is going to be by working with agents. So that means what you're going to have to do is pick up the phone and start calling real estate agents every single day. So you should call 20 to 100 real estate agents every single day. Simple script, say, hey, my name is Brian Davila. I'm a real estate investor and I'm looking for off-market properties or properties that need a lot of work that I could flip. Do you have any of those deals right now or anything coming up? That's the whole script. After that, just shut up. Let them explain whatever they're going to explain. And then if they do have something, say, hey, perfect. I want to work with you. You're going to be my agent. I don't need another agent. I want to work with you directly. What's the address and price? Get the address and price, start working it, and get a deal. I mean, I do this strategy personally, and we get a deal about every week or every other week, but right now it's every single week we get a deal doing this strategy. So I know it works in 2024. The last place to find deals from referrals is going to be friends and family. It's very unlikely, but sometimes it happens where you have a friend or a family member that wants to sell a deal that's beat up. You buy it and then you flip it. All right. So now we're going to go to direct to seller, which is a lot more complex and you need more money. But main ways to do direct to seller is going to be texting, cold calling, PPC, PPL, and mail. All right. So texting cold calling is pretty much you're going to pull a list of absentee owners or notice of default sellers or owners. And then you're going to text them or cold call them, asking them if they're interested in selling their property to a cash buyer. Very simple, right? If they do want to sell, then you're going to, get on an acquisition call with them, speak to them, figure out why they want to sell, figure out what's wrong with the property, and then make them a lowball offer. I know there's a lot of people on the internet that says, oh, this doesn't work or blah, 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 blah. It works. People are doing it every single day. I'm a part of a community called Wealthy Investor where we teach people how to flip and wholesale houses. Literally, people are getting deals every single day. So it still works in 2024. Also, by the way, if you're looking for one-on-one coaching and you want me to teach you how to get your first deal, also in the description of this video, you could fill out a form. We could work together. You do need money to start flipping houses. So if you don't have the money right now, you don't have money for coaching, we're probably not going to be a good fit. But if you have money for coaching and you have some money for marketing and some money to do your first flip, perfect. Fill out the form and we could work together. And then PPL, you're going to work with companies like Need to Sell My House Fast or Lead Gens. Those companies sell leads. And you pay anywhere from $250 to $500, and you should close at least 1 out of 20 leads. That could be how you get your first flip. Another way you could get your first flip is doing by PPC or mail. Typically with PPC or mail, you're going to have to spend at least $5,000 to $10,000 a month. So it is a little bit more expensive, but the quality of leads are a lot higher. Okay. So that's direct to seller marketing. Next thing you're going to need is a contract, a simple contract. If you just Google residential purchase agreement, there's going to be a ton of contracts that come up. Again, in the link of the description, you could go and I'll give you a contract for free. But yeah, it's a very simple contract. It says buyer, seller, purchase price, APN number, how fast are you going to close, and any other terms that you guys negotiate. But free contract right there, but you need it if you're going to be working with direct to seller. If you're working with agents, you're going to use the realtors or agents contract. You're not going to use a direct to seller contract. The next thing you're going to need is a calculator. So again, in the link of this description, just fill out the form. We'll send you the calculator for free. But you need a calculator. You could look up flipping calculator on Google. There's a million of them. But pretty much it just, what is the ARV? What's the profit? What's the rehab? What's the holding costs? Utilities, realtor commissions. And then at the bottom, it will give you a max allowable offer. Once you have that number, that's what you're going to be sending to your, that's the offer range you're going to give to the seller or agent. Other thing you're going to need to understand is typically, if you want to get your first deal, right, you need to be making at least 10 offers a day. That's rather direct to seller or agent outreach or wholesaler. Typically, you want to get up to where you're making about 10 offers a day. If you're making about 10 offers a day, you should get a deal within your first 30 days, period. It's going to take a few hours to sit here and make offers because you have to calculate the deals. You have to understand what you're looking for. You have to be looking for distressed properties. You're not just making offers on properties that are not beat up, but 10 offers a day is a great rule of thumb. If you can, try to do it every single day. The next thing you're going to have to do is track your leads. So if you're doing wholesalers, direct to agent, direct to seller, whatever it is, track leads. So what is a lead? A lead is someone that says they rather have a property that they're ready to sell. So a seller is like, hey, I want to sell this property. Or an agent or wholesaler that sends you a lead, a possible deal that you could buy, and the numbers are close, right? If the numbers aren't even close, then that's not a real lead. You need to be tracking the ones that are close, because if it's close, then you could potentially negotiate them down. So yeah, it's very important to understand that you need to track your leads, right? So in the beginning, you should be closing. This is like a big range, but you literally should be closing 1 out of every 100 leads. And as you get better, you're going to be closing 1 out of 90, then 1 out of 80, then 1 out of 50. And sometimes you get lucky and you close 1 out of 10 in the very beginning. But yeah, it happens. I've seen it all the time. Some of my best deals that I've closed were in the beginning of my career. You just get lucky in the beginning. I guess the very, very last subject that I'll talk about is just mindset and focus. So I'll leave that for last, because I know a lot of people make videos about mindset and focus. And I like to be more tactical with it. But number one, you will not be successful in real estate if you don't work at it, period. Watching YouTube videos is great, but if you don't spend at least 1 to 2 hours a day doing real estate, you're not going to be successful in real estate. Period. Sorry to burst anyone's bubble watching this video. I appreciate you guys. I love all you guys that want to do real estate, but I'm just being straightforward with you. You need to spend 1 to 2 hours a day focused and trying to do real estate. And this 1 to 2 hours, again, is not watching YouTube videos. It's not talking to your family members about real estate. It's making offers and speaking to sellers, speaking to agents, speaking to wholesalers, raising private capital. I believe if you spend 1 to 2 hours a day for 30 days, you will get your first flip. And a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, you know, that's a lot of time. It is a lot of time. But, you know, I've made millions and millions of dollars flipping and wholesaling real estate. You know, it's worth it. I promise you it's worth it. So 1 to 2 hours a day, every day, working on the business will not kill you. It will make you stronger. And then understanding that it's very possible. I think a lot of people in the beginning, they're excited, and then they start working, and then agents tell them that, you know, they're so low that it's not going to work. You hear other people giving up. You hear how hard it is. You hear that the interest rates are high. You hear that wholesalers are making a bunch of money. You hear that there's no deals in your market. You hear that there's no people with money that are willing to lend to you. So you just can't give up. I think 99% of people just give up, or they don't even try. They want to start flipping and wholesaling, but they don't actually try. And obviously you're not going to be successful if you don't try. So yeah, guys, I just want to make this video short and sweet. If you don't subscribe to this YouTube channel, I interview the top investors across the country. I'm also going to be posting 1 training video a week to teach you guys how to start flipping and wholesaling for free. And go follow me on Instagram. It's the Brian Davila. And if you need any of the free tools that I mentioned, again, the link is in the description. Like this video, give me a comment if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next training. Peace.